Welcome to this episode. First of all, I would like to express my heartfelt condolences to the entire people of South Sudan who are affected by various incidences in the country, beginning from the war in Akopo, which has displaced countless and claims so many innocent lives, to a BMNM incidents, as well as the people in the mountain of Iraq, the young South Sudanese who are working so hard in order to pave their way to prosperity, which is totally denied to them by the current governments. And also to make some comment about the statement that was made by General Kuol Manyang, the presidential advisors. So I believe that the statement where he blamed the youth and the citizens of South Sudan of being lazy and they don't want to work hard in order to lift up the country from poverty. It is really an absurd statement because whenever I look across the country, I've never seen where the credit of development has been given to the citizen or the young generation, but most of the credit goes all the time to the leaders. And therefore, when there is failures, the leader also should bear the responsibility of that failures. The reason South Sudan is poor is not because the people of South Sudan are lazy, but it is because the leaders of South Sudanese are lazy and are corrupt. So for Kual Manyang to come and put the blame on the youth is really surprising to me, because what I know about South Sudanese, they are very resilient and they are hard worker. I grew up in northern Sudan, and I've seen a lot of women who work so hard. Some of them work as maid in those wealthy houses in order to make money and send their kid to school. Some of them sleep in those houses for almost a week before without seeing their children. So in order to, all the sacrifice was made in order to educate their children, and in fact they did. Also, some of them were selling tea on the street than in order to make money and send their kid to school. Some women also, they work so hard by even defying the Sharia by brewing alcohol and sell it, despite the fact that the government was cracking down on them, and some of them they may send to jail, but they never give up. These are the kind of the people that today General Kuol Manyang, without any shy, call them laziness. The people of South Sudan are the hard workers. For example, even when I was at the College of Pharmacy in my 5th years, I work also as construction workers, and that so many of my generation also build those big houses that you see in the construction in Khartoum. So these are not the people that you can just come and blame them for your failure. And this is one thing. Also, for any government, the poverty of the country is because of an institution, and it's not because whether people are lazy or not. Because we have studies that has been done, and if you have read Why Nation Fail, you would see that the theories all these theories about the culture, about the laziness of the people, about the environment, all of them has been refuted by that research. So James Robertson and his colleague, when they talk about, they refuted all these conspiracies that the the poor countries are poor because of the environment or because of the laziness of the people. I just want to take an example of Nogales, Arizona, which is in the north border of Mexico, at the side of the US, and at the south of the borderline, there is Nogales, Mexico. So the people of the south and the north, they are the same people. They speak the same language. They have the same culture. They share the same environment. Everything is identical. But the people in the south are, which are in the south of the border of the US-Mexico border, they are in Mexico, so they are part of Mexico, and the people to the north are a part of the United States. The people in the south are poor. The reason they are poor is not because of the environment, is not because of the culture, is not because of the, but it is because of economic institutions in that country. Mexico leaders are corrupt, so they fail to provide the economic opportunities for these people. So for you to get a job, if you are in the Mexico side, you need to be connected because there is no fairness in terms of competition and opportunity. There is corruption and they fail to fight cartel. Therefore, no matter what you do, whether you are lazy or you are hardworking, still you will not go anywhere because of those economic institutions. In addition to that, the people in the southern border of the United States at the Mexico, they don't have, although there is an elections, but because of the corruption, the election is rigged, so the same corrupt individual will come over and over again. So they don't have the opportunity to change their government. While on the north border, on the northern of the border, the Nogales in the north, the people are prosperous. Why? Because at the US side, the economic institution in that area favor competitions, there is justice, so there is an institution, banking institution. So basically, if somebody having a business idea, you can get a loans, so you can compete for a contract with the government, so you don't have to be connected so that you can get a contract. And for these two reasons, when you compare two regions, when you compare them, you will realize that the economic institution in a country is the one determine where the country can be corrupt or where the country can be prosper or the country can be poor. Let us come back to the case of South Sudan. So in South Sudan, there is corrupt government because the leaders are corrupt. So there is no injustice. So basically today, if you have a court against the general, I don't think that even the police will be able to open the case against the general. There is no, if you are not connected, if you don't know who is your father or you don't know anybody, you cannot be able to get a job, leave alone getting a contract, because the contract, most of the contract are being allocated to ball mill. If you talk about road, the contract for the government is being allocated to Adut because Adut is the daughter of President Salva Kiir, and there is no way that you can be able to have a fair competition with such economic institutions. And therefore, no matter how hard you work as a youth in South Sudan, you will still will not go anywhere. So the failure of the state is not because of the people that are lazy, but it is because of the economic institution that in South Sudan and which the leader created Okay, they created this environment, and at the same time, they want to put the blame on the innocent youth. Some of those youths that Kuol Manyang is blaming, some of them they were just born in 2005. So for them, they are maybe 21 years, and you can't blame a minor. So almost about 18 years they were minor. So can you blame them for the 3 years? No, that's absurd. So the failure of the leadership is the why that South Sudan government is poor, and it is not because the youth of South Sudan or the people of South Sudan they are lazy. Let us compare an example. The government responsibility and the leadership of the country is to create opportunities to inspire the people, to motivate them, not to blame them for their own failures. Let us take example of the NCP, and I would like to ask Kuol Manyang to go and ask those of Riak Guy, because Riak Guy was in NCP. Let him go and ask also Tut Galwag, because he was in NCP, and ask those of Diomatok. They were all in the NCP. When the NCP came and took power in Sudan, there were no oil. There were no gold mining. But what they did, they explored the oil and they created this revenue. So it wasn't the people of the north who created those wells. The wells, although there was a war, but they still managed to explore the oil and produce it and export it and generate income from it. Also, the mining, the gold mining, and we have seen their contribution into the GDP. But in contrast, since the SPLM took over power, I don't want to talk about before the 2011, but let us just take from 2011. When South Sudan became an independent country, the $1 was equivalent to £2. Just imagine how much is $1 right now. I leave that one for you to figure it out. Also, the GDP per capita of South Sudan in 2011 was 3,885. Okay, so what is the GDP of South Sudan right now? The GDP is 240 something. 240 something dollars, from 3,885 to less than 200. Let us also take the oil productions at the independent. So the oil production at the independent, South Sudan was producing over 300,000 barrels a day. That as an independent. However, today South Sudan produces less than 100,000 barrels a day. So the oil production shrinks by almost 1/3. Is that the problem of the youth? Is that a problem of the citizen? Is a problem of leadership? Also, when you look at those numbers, how many wells that the South Sudan government dig after the independence? They never added a zero wells. They never added a single well. They never dig even a single well. Productions decline. The alternative pipeline that they were talking about was not done. What about the refinery? They have not done anything for the last 21 years. So there is no any opportunities that the government of South Sudan created in order to blame the people of South Sudan. Even they failed to maintain what we inherited from the government of Khartoum. Imagine if the government of Khartoum has not explored the oil, what would be the situation? I don't think the current leadership of President Kiir and his cohort would have produced anything. They would not, because what they want us, they want to take us back to the ancient time. We're going to eat lizard, going to eat frog, dogs, or when we are sick, we go and use their herbs as made by a colpol. So basically, let us also contrast these things that this government, our government with our neighboring. Imagine during the time of President Kiir, the Ethiopian government built the greatest dam in Africa, which is cost about 5 billion US dollars. And the 5 billion US dollars is just something. It's just something very small. Is maybe the $5 billion that was embezzled by the 75 leaders of the SPLM party. So also, if you go to Kenya, you will see like Kenya built a train from Mombasa all the way to Nairobi, which cut actually the transport and make it very easy to transport the food to Nairobi. When you go to Uganda, Uganda also now is building the pipeline almost 75% complete to Dar es Salaam. They discover oil. They're also building refinery. So as you look at all these countries, they are progressing because of the kind of leadership that they have. But our leaders, they blame the people who have no anything to do. They are just hopeless. If there is anything that could be blamed on the people of South Sudan, is their patience. Yeah, because we should have kicked them out long time ago. But that's the only thing that we could blame ourselves for, because for them, they don't deserve to be there. And I want you also to take an example of how countries develop. Take example of South Korea. Take an example also of Singapore. Take an example of Rwanda, is very close. Although Rwanda defeated the government, and when they came to form the government, they didn't kick out everybody. They didn't silence all the Ugandans, all the Rwandans. They form an inclusive government, and they say because they don't want to leave anybody out. Because when you leave somebody out, that will create a problem through rebellion or whatever. So basically they bring everybody on board, even though they are the one who defeated the government. They didn't exclude any tribe, the Tuts, the Hutus, all of them, they were incorporated in that government. And what they did, they came and formed a national conventions where all the stakeholders, they came in and they put a plan, a strategic plan, the Uganda 2010 project. And that 2010 project actually was, they lay out their objective, the strategy, how the economy will be run, and where's area that the government should invest in order to create more jobs and create more money. You invest in educations. After investing in education, investing in industrial, and then also now they have become a service. So they studied their situations and they came out with a comprehensive project which was supervised and funded by the government. So it's not people who do that. It's the role of the leader in the country to come up with a comprehensive project, and they follow it. They measure all the indicators, they monitor it until they succeed. But when we look into South Sudan, and as I see that people are talking about farming, who failed the project of farming? It's the leaders. What happened to those 1,000 tractors that was bought in order to boost the agricultural scheme? It's the leaders because of corruptions. Because when you see when they bought those tractors, they were not given to the people who are already farming. Instead, they distribute those tractors among themselves. So MPs, the ministers, the governors, the commissioners, they distribute them among themselves, even though none of them actually has a farm. So how could you blame the people of South Sudan for such? You didn't give them the tool. Even if someone go and farm today, there is insecurity. There is also difficulties of getting access to agricultural mechanized like tractors, like machineries. There is an issue also, even when you cultivate your produce, how are you going to take them into the market when there is no roads? Okay, so these are obstacles that the government should address before those people can contribute. And in any other countries, when people don't want to invest in certain area, what does the government do? The government give incentive. How? By giving tax break. So if you want to boost the agriculture, you need people to, you need to do an exemption for the crops. You need to do an exemption for, you need to be able to give like loans for those farmers. So all these things actually, it require a government lead that effort. And then also, even if those people, they need to a government also to open for them opportunities across the regions. So I've never seen President Kiir going to any other country and opening opportunity for what we produce in South Sudan. You see, most of the time when you see Trump going to the Gulf, to the Arab or any other country, they talk about trades. Why? Because they want to open opportunity for the American farmers. What did the government of Kiir do in order to open opportunities? They didn't do anything. Did they open roads to those areas of farming? No, because actually right now you see Rang is neglected. So it is unfair for the government to actually to blame the youth of South Sudan for their failure. I believe that the economic institutions, they are like racing car. When what kind of car that you are driving, it can determine whether you can win the race or not. So basically, when you are with the extracted economic institutions such as in South Sudan, there is no fair competition, there is no justice, there is corruptions, and there is no equal opportunity. All these, they hinder progress. And therefore, if you are within the South Sudan economic structure, you cannot go anywhere. If you are in a country where actually the institutions, there is a fair competition, there is justice, and there is the institution fight corruptions, the leaders are not corrupt, you can be able to achieve your objective. Let me close by giving you one example. An associate professor, when I was an associate professor at the University of Juba, I was making $75 a month. So $75 a month is nothing. So for me to prosper is going to be hard because even that one will not cover my fuel expenses for 1 week. So I have a deficit. Where am I going to get food? Where am I going to pay for rent? Where am I going to send my children to school? Even a driver license cannot be able to produce. And I have to work 30 days in order to earn the $75. Imagine in other countries, they take for example here in the US, an Uber driver can make the $75 in 2 hours. An Uber driver is not a professor. You don't need to go to school, just high school. You have a driving license. You can get a loan to get a car, and you hit the road. You make $35 an hour. But if you are in South Sudan, you have to study and become a professor and earn $75 in 30 days. Imagine an Uber driver within 2 hours, you can offset the 1 month. So 2 hours is equivalent to an income of 1 month. So basically, an income of 12 hours, an income of 24 hours is equal to an income of the professor in South Sudan for 1 year. So how are you going to make it? It's very hard, and therefore the institutions in that country is the one that holding the people. People are working so hard, but the inflation is eating their hard earning money every day because the government failed to control the inflation because of the corruptions and because of inability to come up with a new way to generate income. Most government create opportunities for the people, create an employment so that why? Because when you employ youth, you create an opportunity for them. You when they work, they get their paycheck, the government take the tax, and how the government get money. But if you are not creating opportunities, you are not employing people, you are hating the government is hurting himself because these people would not pay taxes because they are unemployed. So those of leaders, they need to understand their questions, and blaming other people will not solve the problem of South Sudan. They need to take the responsibility, and since they don't have anything to offer, and from the statement of General Manyang, I believe that is a statement of somebody who surrender, somebody who accept the current situation, and they have no way they can change the situation. So instead of them resigning and sit at home, okay, and then allow the people, the youth to occupy, the people who have a bright idea to lead the country, they don't want because they are very selfish. And they are the one holding South Sudan hostage, not because the people of South Sudan are very poor. The last message to the youth of South Sudan: you have the power to change them. You have the power to send Kuol Manyang to his village and retire. How? The South Sudan populations, 75% are youth. In order to win any elections, you need just only 51% or 50 something percent in order to win the election. So if you guys united today and the government conducted the election next year, by the end of this year, please don't forget, these people, they need to be sent home. They need to be defeated and bring a new leadership that will come and create opportunity for you. I did a lot of comparison. You go and see by yourself. So the only way that, as I told you, the economic institution, in order to change the vehicle that you have, which is the economic institution, you need to change the leadership. The leadership who understand the questions, the leadership who understand their role, the leadership who will come and motivate you, not to demoralize you, the leader who will inspire you, the leader who will give you the opportunity that you need to grow and achieve your personal objective and the objective of your country. But if you still on this the same vehicle, if you allow these people to divide you into Nuer and Dinka and into Equatorial and Barghazal, Upper Nile and Barghazal and whatsoever, they will still be there and the situation will keep going worse from worse to the worst. So the choice is yours. If the choice is yours, and it is up to you. Either you accept the humiliations and you listen to their nonsense every time and you leave them in their position, or you come together and bring a new leadership that will come and take your country into a better future. So with that said, thank you so much and have a good day.